2020 has been a tough year for most people worldwide, but the last few weeks were very eventful for the United States. With the new president, the people of the United States of America have quite a lot to look forward to. Joseph Robinette Biden, or as we all know him, Joe Biden, is the current and 46th president of the United States. Welcome to the Wealth Lab, and thanks for checking in. Owing to the economic downfall most of the countries faced during the Covid-19 pandemic, economic stability and economic growth are among the prime concerns for President Joe Biden. To combat the economic recession caused by the pandemic, Biden recently released a $1.9 trillion plan named the American Rescue Plan. Alongside the first female vice president of the U.S., Kamala Harris, Joe Biden's team designed the plan for the next few years to save the country from going into another recession phase. The comprehensive economic plan, known as the American Rescue Plan, will cover healthcare, global climate crisis, education policies, housing, immigration, taxes, infrastructure, and trade. So keep watching, and I'll give you an insight into the Biden economic plan. Covid-19 Pandemic Response. First things first, the newly elected President of the United States, just after 2 days of taking charge, introduced the National Strategy for COVID-19 Response. The COVID-19 response strategy is formulated taking into consideration the recommendation of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, also known as the CDC. During his first few days at the Oval Office, Biden implemented some components with executive orders and presidential memorandums for the pandemic specifically. The $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan for the coronavirus includes $160 billion for the manufacturing and distribution of the COVID-19 vaccines, $170 billion to help schools reopen, and $25 billion allocated for the child care providers alone. Biden plans to provide 100 million COVID-19 vaccinations during the first 100 days of him being the president. While the major part of the American Rescue Plan is focused on the vaccinations and the healthcare provisions following the pandemic, a part of the plan focuses on the individual care and facilitation in line with the pandemic. Considering the plan, Biden promised to provide essential workers a pay boost. There are also recommendations for the expansion of sick and family-paid medical leave for the year 2021. Family members can now stay at home with ease to take care of individuals who've contracted the virus, and staying home can considerably reduce the virus's transmission. Even though sick leaves have been increased, Biden's government certainly doesn't want anyone to be at a loss. The government plans to reimburse the employers who give out COVID-19 leave for 14 days. Encouraging Made in America. On January 25, 2021, 5 days after taking charge as the president, Joe Biden signed an executive order that urged the federal government to buy more locally produced products and reduce reliance on imported products. This plan is named the Buy American Plan. A total of $700 billion is allocated to the Buy American Plan, $400 billion for buying locally sourced products, and $300 billion to spend over 4 years for research and development purposes. Job creation. Joe Biden's economic plans have a greater emphasis on creating new job opportunities and investment in technology areas to help the country recover from the economic shock faced due to the pandemic. A generous sum of the funds would be allocated towards developing clean energy and promoting U.S. industries globally. A total number of 18 million job opportunities are projected in the plan, while promoting the clean energy sector and electric vehicle markets. Installing 550,000 charging stations, which aim to produce 1 million jobs, are in the pipeline. To restore America's position as a global leader in R&D, the new president plans to invest $300 billion in promoting new technology industries, which aims to create 3 million fair-paying job opportunities for the country's unemployed citizens. The plan also includes investing more to strengthen the American vehicle industry for self-use and export purposes. Enjoying this video so far? Remember to hit that subscribe and like button. Okay, let's get back to the video. When needed, getting quality healthcare is one of the things that we often worry about the most. But it looks like Joe Biden's recent economic plans have it sorted, at least for the next few years. Biden's plan includes lowering the premium on insurance provided by the Affordable Care Act, or the ACA, to facilitate middle-income families. According to Biden's proposal, no American citizens must pay more than 8.5% of their overall income for health insurance purposes. A special subsidy would be available for premium on health insurance for those who have lost their jobs during the pandemic. Previously, the eligibility for Medicare premium-free service was 65 years, but now the recent government has reduced the age to 60. Education. During times like these, with the elevated number of COVID-19 positive patients across the country, parents are too anxious about the idea of sending kids to schools. Considering this fact, Biden plans to have a coordinated response from federal and local institutes before deciding on reopening the schools and the practices to enforce for educational institutes to lower the community infection rates. Biden also plans to almost double the number of healthcare workers present in educational institutions. A universal pre-kindergarten is to be introduced for all preschool children to lower the financial burden on parents. Biden's plan would considerably reduce the cost of higher education and the financial strain on the students. For families whose income falls below $125,000, community college and public universities would be made free. A total amount of $8 billion is to be allocated to increasing community college facilities and $50 billion to train teachers and support educational institutions. Housing plans to be made affordable for all. The newly elected president believes that housing is a right of all citizens. The provision of affordable housing is an essential part of Biden's strategy. As part of the economic plan, Biden will allocate $640 billion over 10 years to provide safe and affordable housing for all, notably with a priority to be focused on ethnic minorities and Black Americans who remain disproportionately affected by the current housing market's failures. Taxes. The good news for the low-income households is that the taxes they pay is about to decrease. Joe Biden has a plan to make the current tax code more progressive. The progressive tax code means that high-income households will pay a higher tax than low-income families. Biden plans to increase overall federal revenue by $3.3 trillion over 10 years, only by increasing corporations' tax share and high-income filers. The corporate tax is expected to rise to as much as 28%. Promoting economic recovery through trade. Biden's government has planned to invest a whopping amount of $300 billion in promoting America's trade with other countries. To counter the trade disputes with China, the current government plans to work with U.S. allies to form a united front. Rebuilding infrastructure. Under the Build Back Better plan by Biden's team, the recent government will invest $2 trillion to rebuild the infrastructure that focuses explicitly on clean energy. For towns that have a population of 100,000, the government will allocate funds for zero-emission public transports and an expansion of the rail system with a focus on high-speed rail. Promoting electric travel is one of the motifs. The president also plans to provide universal broadband as well as 5G wireless services. Changes in immigration. The former president of the U.S., Donald Trump, was mostly opposed by the strict immigration policies he imposed during his tenure. But the plans of the current president will almost reverse all the restrictions previously imposed. One of the first things Biden did was to lift the ban on immigration from Muslim countries. He also ended the national emergency declaration by Trump on the U.S. border with Mexico and stopped constructing the border wall. The president promised to raise the annual refugee admissions to a significant number and work towards modernizing the entire immigration system. Enjoying this video so far? Remember to hit the subscribe and like button. Okay, let's go back to the video. The pandemic has affected almost all areas of life drastically. With millions of people losing their jobs, thousands of businesses closing down, it doesn't come as a surprise that Joe Biden's presidency has begun with a lot of uncertainty. Joe Biden took charge of the office when its economic conditions were more upside down than any other president faced in recent times. But it looks like Lady Luck is being kind to Joe Biden as he stepped into a situation that will improve drastically in the coming year, as expert economists have speculated that the country's GDP is expected to reach a 10% growth milestone in the third quarter of 2021. The altered situation due to the pandemic will most likely return to the pre-pandemic phase by the end of this year, which is a promising sign for its economic revival. Ahead of the current president's inaugural ceremony, Joe Biden mentioned a two-step plan that would work towards the rescue and recovery process. In the first step, rescue efforts will be made to provide immediate pandemic relief, and the second step will focus on the country's long-term economic growth. It is too early to predict if Biden's recovery and economic plans will succeed, and if all of them will get Congress approval or not. But considering the economic projections and speculations by economists, 2021 will be a year of revival, with or without the recent economic policies. Time is yet to tell. What do you think about Joe Biden's economic plans? Feel free to share your feelings in the comment section below. But in the meantime, we'll see you in the next video.